Hey guys, welcome back. This video is about 10 years in the making. What I'm going to cover here is the Behr deck stain and my experience with it. I did a bunch of Googling about this, and reviews on it are mixed. It seems like some people love it, some people hate it. Seems like a lot of people that love it maybe just applied it and it looks great like a week later. Who really cares about that? And the people that hate it are like, well, a year later it peeled off and it's terrible. So I'm going to give you, I think, some really good examples of applying it on crappy wood, applying it on new wood, horizontal surfaces, vertical surfaces, deck, shed, the LP smart siding, treated wood. And I'm going to show you what my results have been over the past 10 years. So let's get started. All right. So first of all, we bought this place in, we moved in around 2011. And the deck at the time wasn't in great shape. It looked like it just really needed power washing. But when you really got down to it and looked at it, the wood just wasn't great. So I spent a ton of time sanding it. I took a belt sander, I countersunk the screws some, and belt sanded the entire 50-foot length of that deck. Huge project. And then, of course, power wash, got it, did as much prep as I could, and then used the stain pad to stain the deck. So that's forward and backward strokes. Maybe not as good as brushing with backstrokes, but that's what we did. So that was June of 2012. So obviously it looked great at that point in time. So had I done a review at that point in time, I would have said, I love this product. Well, by July of 2013, the deck was already peeling. And like I say, I sanded the you-know-what out of that deck. And I knew maybe a couple boards were a little iffy, even with the sanding. But I was like, that's fine. I'll replace those boards. Maybe it's a handful of boards. But it was a lot more boards that started peeling. So you can see what it looks like here in July of 2013. Sorry, not the greatest picture, but it's the best I could come up with. So I'm going to skip ahead then. Over the next several years, it really just kind of kept getting worse, and I kept putting it off and putting it off, putting it off. Finally, in May of 2020, before lumber started going through the roof, I bought all new deck boards, replaced them all. And here's what the deck looked like at that point prior to replacing the boards. Not good, right? It had really progressed pretty badly. Fortunately, it wasn't bad underneath as far as the joists or anything. And I did joist tape and stuff too once I had ripped the boards off to kind of protect them, and then put brand new boards down. So bottom line, from my experience, is if you can sand and prep and do all kinds of stuff to these boards ahead of time. But if you're starting with old rotten boards, and maybe boards, I don't even know what was on those. For all I know, there was some oil-based sealer on those ahead of before I did something to them, or there was nothing, or who knows. I don't know what was on it. If there was something on it, it was a clear finish that was on it. But I just couldn't bring those boards back. So my advice is, if you have a deck that is in not great shape, I would go with I would sand it like that, but then do a semi-transparent, or maybe an oil-based, something that's going to penetrate a little deeper, and you might get better results. But if you're expecting a solid to solve your problems, I wouldn't do it. And by the way, there are other materials, and I don't know if I have a picture of it. If I do, I'll paste it in here. They're a sandy, gritty, I don't know what they call it, deck helmet maybe. That's supposed to restore your deck. That stuff sucks too. So that stuff would stick to the wood, but it's so gritty that, at least in my environment, it picked up dirt and mold and gunk, and it was just dirty looking. It just didn't, the wood was covered, but now the new surface was junk. So I wouldn't recommend that. So anyway, so I replaced the deck boards, and now that's in 2020. And now here we are in 2021. I probably should have done it back in the fall, but I didn't. I'm going to stain the upper deck. So that'll be a future video, but let me kind of switch. So bottom line on the upper deck was old boards sucked, no way to recover them. So let's switch gears for a moment. Let's talk about the same product on a brand new deck, and also the same product on vertical surfaces, old material. So the railing in the vertical surfaces of that deck, I use the same paint, and I'll insert a picture now of what that looks like. Let's see, that was 2012, of what that looks like with only a few minor little touch-ups over the years since 2012. And it's 2021, May of 2021 right now. So that looks pretty good. So bottom line is the vertical surfaces really held up well. So the only caveat in the picture you just saw there was that the top railing boards, I replaced those, of course, when I did the deck surface, because they are horizontal surfaces. All right, now let's talk about the lower deck. The lower deck, brand new in April of 2016 and stained with the same solid tugboat color in 2016. By 2019, it was starting to show some peeling, but it actually still looked pretty good. We're talking about vertical and horizontal surfaces. I should have done something to it in 2019, but I didn't feel like it. In 2020, it was about the same. I probably should have hit it then. Wasn't terrible. So finally, here in 2021, I did the following. I spent 15 minutes making sure all the screws were countersunk. I spent an hour with a palm sander and 60 grit sandpaper, removing all loose material. And then I spent 20 minutes power washing. So not your typical power washing where you're meticulously making strokes. Really just a power wash to kind of like clean it up, clean the dust off. Because the sanding had already pretty much accomplished the goal of getting all the loose particles off. And then I refinished it. So a future video I'll show you May of 2021 forward to show you how well that held up. But I can say, overall, the lower deck, brand new boards, protected right from the start, held up way better than the upper deck, sanding the heck out of it, trying to restore old boards and make the paint or the stain penetrate and stick. So now let's shift gears and talk about the shed. So the shed, and I'm back in the timeline up here now. The shed was I built this in May of 2013. And I built it with the LP Smart siding, which is pre-primed as far as the siding pieces. And then all of the trim pieces are pressure treated I don't know what the dimension, but it's pressure treated Behr lumber. So I'm going to cut now and I'll show you a clip of what that wood now looks like in May of 2021. All right, so here's the shed. Again, this is 2013 to 2021, and that's what it looks like. I think that's pretty good. Never mind that crooked 2x4 on the door. I should have never framed it up that way. There you can see the pressure treated. You can see it's starting to peel just a little bit. And everywhere there's a crack, that's where it's really, kind of a little more vulnerable. So this is the sun side, or the side that gets the most sun. This side doesn't get hardly any sun, and look at that board. And then let's go to the back. This back hardly gets any sun. Look at that. And of course the back basically gets no sun. And that's in really good shape. So my experience here is that this pressure treated in the sun, whether it's vertical or horizontal, is going to expand and contract and get your little, hairline cracks here and let moisture in. I mean, you can even see, I guess it gets rain, but that part up there is over the overhang, or under the overhang, and there's not as many cracks in it. So then look at the LP Smart siding. So this was pre-primed, And look at this. I mean, the nails are covered. All the, you know, every little detail is still painted and covered, like no problem. And then even looking up at the trim around the top, that is covered a little bit by the shingles, and that's actually in really good shape as well. So that's pretty good. Oh, and down here, this is pressure treated on the outside, and you can see, well, it's dirty, just, you know, splash up. Oh, there we go. But that's in pretty good shape. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the Behr. All I should have to do this spring is you just see a little bit of like mold and gunk that has formed here on the bottom. So I'm not even gonna power wash that. I'm just gonna get a brush and just, you know, brush it off. So there you go. Oh, here's the other corner. There you can see the other corner. This is the sun side. And the not sun side. Hopefully that's coming through. And here's the siding again. I mean, it's just in great shape. I mean, you can even see, like, look, there's a nail. It's covered just great. Of course, birds crap on the shed, but very nice. Oh, I have a rub mark here. I forget what I did where I rubbed the paint off. Dropped a log, or I did something. I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it has held up. So if you're debating whether to get this solid stain, and I'm not trying to endorse Behr or really any brand. I'm no paint expert. I'm just sharing my experience of what I did and the results I got. And I'm sure this will get a lot of comments. Well, you did this wrong, you did that wrong. I get that. But I think I'm like a lot of other homeowners that are going to like do the best you can, and you're going to get mixed results probably. But at least you can see real time exactly, or, you know, a real example of what it looks like. So the other thing, and you've probably seen the property here, to emphasize, is that I get there's a lot of tree cover, so a lot of like gunk coming off the trees. But the areas that are where I have this at, they do get a good bit of sun, considering that I have so many trees surrounding the property. So hopefully this helped somebody kind of make, or, you know, the decision about whether to use this solid stain. Now, wrapping it up here on the top, or the upper deck, I guess is what I'm calling it. I still have this year, I have to make the decision. Am I going to go solid, or am I going to go semi-transparent? I think I'm going to try semi-transparent, even though it's going to be a little bit of a mismatch in color versus the railing. And the reason I'm going to try it is because I think I'll get better penetration into the wood. And based on my experience with the lower deck, sanding the solid and redoing it really wasn't that difficult. So I think the semi-transparent is going to be even easier to refinish, which obviously I'm going to have to refinish it at some point. It's not going to hold up forever. But what I know I can do, since it's acrylic, I can always go over it again with the solid. I can say, well, I'm done with the transparent, and then I can upgrade to solid down the road. So that's my thought. Let me know in the comments if you have any better thoughts. But I didn't see any other good videos on YouTube showing these comparisons. Or at least what I thought were fair comparisons. I found a bunch of videos of people just trashing, you know, a certain brand, saying this brand sucks, and then a bunch of other comments saying, well, you should have used this brand, or you should have done this, or you should have done that, which everyone, you know, has opinions. And I think some of them actually were probably good opinions. But I actually also think that some of the videos just trashing like a certain brand or a certain kind of stain are not really fair. And again, I base that off my experience. So hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.